You are going to move to Italy in 2026, and this video is going to show you how to stop procrastinating and actually make it happen. And even if you don't end up in Italy this year for whatever reason, at the very least, you are going to be so much closer to achieving your goal having followed these steps. Now, this video is based on the teachings contained within the incredible book Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is a book that has fundamentally changed the way that I live my life here in Italy and is the reason that I've been able to write 2 books, build a brand, open an online community, all whilst working full time. So with that said and done, let's begin. Now, I should start by saying, I don't want to waste your time. So if you are that person that has been talking about moving to Italy forever, but you are yet to take any action, then James Clear has some words of advice for you. Your actions reveal how badly you want something. If you keep saying something is a priority, but you never act on it, then you don't really want it. It's time to have an honest conversation with yourself. Your actions reveal your true motivations. At some point, you've got to face the reality that if you haven't taken a single step towards your dream of moving to Italy, maybe it's just a fantasy and it's not something that you really, really want to make happen. So in that case, this video might not be the best one for you to watch. However, I have a sneaky suspicion that that isn't you and that you're really serious about making this dream of yours a reality. In which case, there is something fundamentally important that you are going to need to remember. In that, there is no optimal plan for moving to Italy, no one-size-fits-all approach. However, many people might tell you that that is the case. Everyone is so uniquely different, and there is not going to be the perfect way to move to this country. And as James Clear puts it, it is easy to get bogged down trying to find the optimal plan for change, the fastest way to lose weight, the best program to build muscle, the perfect idea for a side hustle. We are so focused on figuring out the best approach that we never get around to taking action. As Voltaire once wrote, the best is the enemy of the good. Essentially, you've just got to start where you are with what you have and refine things as you go along. There is no best approach because we are all so different and our circumstances and situations are all so unique. So begin with what you've got today towards your goal of moving to Italy and switch things up as you go along and refine those processes once you start taking that action. Now, the first thing that you're going to really think about is going to be your environment. How does your space, your environment reflect your desire to move to Italy? As James Clear says, you don't have to be the victim of your environment. You can also be the architect of it. Bringing Italy into your space is so incredibly important, particularly if your life feels so far removed from the life that you want to lead here in Italy. It's really, really important that you can keep this vision front and center of mind so that when your current life screams at you with all of the obligations and responsibilities and things that you've got to be doing, there is still this move to Italy as a priority in your life, and it's something that you are reminded of every single day. So some action you can take here can be things like hanging up photos or paintings of Italy around your home so that every day you are constantly reminded of what it is that you want to achieve. You could also start including some Italian cooking into your meal plans every week so that you are familiarizing yourself and tasting the wonderful flavors of the country that you plan to move to. You could also consider listening to Italian music or watching some Italian films or videos on YouTube. There are so many things that you can do to bring Italy into your current reality in whatever country of the world you are currently in. But it's really, really important that you do so because you need that constant reminder when the priorities of life want to pull you in a different direction. Now, not only are your physical surroundings important, but also the people that you surround yourself with. As James Clear says, your culture sets your expectation for what is normal. Surround yourself with people who have the habits you want to have yourself. Now, in your case, you are going to want to start surrounding yourself with people who also share the same dream of moving to Italy or are already here setting up their lives. Because not only is this going to inspire you, but it's going to give you a sense of accountability. You can talk to people who know what it's like to walk the walk and can share their experiences, and you can learn from others. This is fundamental because honestly, when you have a big dream like moving to Italy, it can feel quite isolated. And if the people around you don't get that dream, or they cannot understand it, or maybe even they're against it. So you need to find those people who share that big audacious goal like you do, and build those connections. Now, one such place that you might want to venture into, shameless plug, is my very own online community, the Aperitivo Lounge. In that space, you will find other people who also plan to move to Italy or are already here setting up their lives. And you can learn from those people, have conversations with those people, and give yourself a sense of accountability. But if you want to be a founding 50 member, because I'll be closing the doors at 50 members, I'll link it up here and also below in the show notes, so you can go and check that out. But really and truly, it's not just your environmental design in terms of physical space that's important, but the people that you come into contact with will also have a fundamental impact on whether or not you're actually able to follow through on this goal of yours. But talking about goals, it's not enough just to have this goal of moving to Italy. You've got to create systems, because James Clear says, winners and losers have the same goals. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. This is fundamentally important because when you are doing something as big as planning a move to Italy, you have to understand that if you do not have sufficient systems in place to support what is going to be required, both time, energy, and perhaps money investments that you're going to have to make over the coming months, because this is not an overnight process, then unfortunately, you're never ever going to make it happen if you're not able to sustain what you're going to have to go through in order to bring this dream of yours into reality. Systems are fundamental. So the action tips that you can take are, first of all, to create a daily routine that is sustainable, that is going to enable you to find the time to dedicate towards this move. Now, you're going to be dividing your time into two areas of focus. First of all, the Italian language, if you don't already have sufficient knowledge of it. And secondly, researching life in Italy, work, what you're going to be doing here, and any specific bureaucracy matters that might apply to you. So you are going to need to create a daily routine that is going to encompass at least one of these aspects every single day to enable you to have the best possibility of making it happen. It needs to be sustainable. I know that you're probably thinking, right, it's easy. I can dedicate 1 hour every single day after work on my dreams. But is that sustainable for you in your circumstances? Because if you have a full-time job, if you have other family commitments when you come home, if you're usually exhausted by the time you put your keys in the door at the end of the day, is that really the best time for you to start researching your new life in Italy? Or are you just going to be like, it's okay, I'll start again tomorrow? You've really, really got to be honest with yourself here, because having a sustainable daily routine will make a massive, massive difference to whether or not you're actually able to follow through on the things that you need to do. So look at the times that you have available within any given week and select a period of time that works for you and create systems in order to support that time so that you are actually able to focus on your move to Italy. Now, one thing I would say to you here is this concept that James Clear talks about of compounding interest. Small amounts of time stack up and they compound and they give you that end result. Because as James Clear writes, getting 1% better every day counts for a lot in the long run. So your 1% better is the way that every single day you are improving yourself to get ready for this transition in your life, to become more educated about life in Italy, to become better at learning and speaking Italian, to become more organized with this process. Every single day you are aiming to get 1% better with this entire procedure. And so as a result, in the long run, you are going to see significant results. You don't need to follow the kind of outdated advice that is often bandied about of finding 1 hour a day or 2 hours, in a week to do some kind of research or learn Italian, whatever it may be. that kind of time isn't available to many of us. Time is a commodity that unfortunately is in quite short supply for the majority of us. And so we have to work within our own lifestyles, within our own constraints, and we have to focus on small, consistent actions. And so the action steps that you need to take for this are, you need to perhaps look at short periods of time that you can physically manage every single day and see how that can stack up. Now, if we're going to take 30 minutes, for example, if we do 30 minutes a day times 7 days a week, that is 3 hours and 30 minutes every single week that you have spent planning your move to Italy. If you times that by 4 weeks, that is 14 hours a month that you have dedicated to this process. Let me tell you, even if you managed 2 hours a week with that outdated method that I've just referred to, that would still be less time than this. 30 minutes a day is manageable for most of us. And I think, that's the process that you need to follow. Remember that it is all about consistency. If you can stay true to what it is that you're working towards and you manage to do a little bit towards it every single day, you are going to see results. Remember, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. As I said at the beginning, this move is not going to happen in the blink of an eye. It's going to take time. And for many of you, it may take longer because you have other additional things that you have to organize in your own country first. Others, it might be a slightly faster process, but it's going to require time commitment, energy investment, and usually a financial investment at that too. So you've got to be prepared for the process, and small, consistent actions stack up and help you to do just that. But it's hard sometimes to get started. In fact, I really think the hardest thing of all is to get started. So James Clear talks about two little methods that you can apply to actually kickstart some momentum with this goal of yours to move to Italy. So the first method is the 2-minute rule. And what James Clear writes is that if you want to start something new, commit to starting it for just 2 minutes. You can set a timer on your phone. And at the end of 2 minutes, if you want to, you can stop. If you don't, you can continue. And what this method does is it breaks you out of that initial procrastination of just starting. So if you've been talking about studying Italian, but the idea of opening a grammar book fills you with dread, or you just can't be bothered to concentrate in that moment, set an alarm for 2 minutes and begin to study for 2 minutes. When that alarm goes off, it's your decision whether you continue or you stop. It might be that for the first few days you stop at the 2-minute mark, but gradually you'll notice that you don't want to stop at 2 minutes and you want to continue. And that's when you're going to start to form this habit. It's a really, really powerful method, and it just gets us out of our head a little bit and just gets us taking action. Because when we take action, that's when we start to notice the results. Now, the second technique that he talks about in this book is that of habit stacking. If you are one of those people who perpetually complains that you don't have enough time in your day to plan your move to Italy, then this is the technique that you're going to lean towards, because habit stacking essentially means that you attach the new habit or the new goal that you're working towards to an existing habit that you already have in your life. So if you are a person who takes a morning walk every single day, or you have a commute to work and normally you spend that time doom scrolling on social media or just kind of mindlessly looking out of the window of the train, for example, those are the moments where you're now going to spend time planning your move to Italy. And it's not going to require anything more from you because you have already got this existing habit or routine as part of your daily life. It's a really, really clever hack for those people who say they don't have time to do things, because you're not having to carve out new time. You're not having to try to find these extra 20, 30 minutes. If you are so heavily pressed for time, this is the technique that you're going to want to adopt. Find those 30 minutes that you want to spend and attach them to an existing habit that you already do that can encompass that time, and then start to see how consistent you become as a result. Now, these, of course, are steps to get you out of that procrastination phase. What comes next is going to be very much tailored to you. Now, within my community this month in the Aperitivo Lounge, I've created a detailed masterclass to walk you through the practical plan for moving to Italy. This masterclass will remain forever as part of my community. But if you want to dive a bit more into the actual physical steps you need to take once you've got some systems in place and you know the time that you've got available and you're ready to start taking action, then I really recommend my Aperitivo Lounge community. But other than that, I've got some other videos, this one right here, that will also walk you through some things that you need to start to consider and the actions that you need to take if your dream is to move to Italy, because there is a lot involved. But right here at the end of this video, you have got yourself out of that procrastination phase, and now it is time to actually progress with your goal of moving to Italy, because it's not going to be easy, but it's definitely going to be worthwhile. And to close off this video with a wonderful quote from James Clear, who also cites something that Jacob Riis said: "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two. And I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before." I'll see you in the next video.